Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Three Questions with Commercial Integrator. I am very lucky to be joined by Randy Stearns, the CEO of D-Tools today. Randy, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Jonathan, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. So I know that you're really on top of the way that kind of the market moves. What emerging trends are you observing in the marketplace from your vantage point?
Well, I would say besides the obvious incredible spike in video conferencing that
Sure.
we're all experiencing right now, when I think about trends, I'm more of a business guy. I'm not really a technologist. So when I think about trends, I think of them as business trends, not technology trends. So I'll speak to those. I would say the most significant trend that I'm seeing is kind of taking the industry by storm is audio video as a service, or in other words, selling technology to corporations and institutions on a subscription basis. And AVAAS it's attractive to industry clients because it converts what used to be a large capital expenditure to a more digestible operating expense. And at the same time, it's attractive to integrators because integrators get paid in full immediately upon completion of the project, and it typically includes or is expected to include a multi-year service contract as well. It's built into that payment schedule for the client. So it's really a win-win for the industry.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up, from the business side. One thing that I really stress is 99% of integrators have the technology down pat, and there's not a lot that people like yourself or I could tell them from the technology side. But a lot of them do kind of get into business because they're so good at the technology. So that business side is really where they could use a little bit of great advice. So I know for AV as a service, there are things that D-Tools is doing to facilitate this transition. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked, actually. Last year, we completed an integration with Great America Financial that enables AV as a service pricing right from within our software. So system integrators using our software can quickly calculate the monthly payment amount, and that's based on the current rate factor available from Great America. And then they add, I should say our software adds a monthly amount for the service contract. That's also automatically calculated based on the parameters that are input by the user. And it presents a monthly payment schedule back to the client, or payment amount, I should say, back to the client. We also even offer the ability to present different terms of payment. For example, 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years, or whatever the integrator wants to offer up. So in the same proposal. So it's great because the client has an easier time making that decision or agreeing to those terms. It's a small monthly payment as opposed to a large sum. And the integrator gets paid in full and upfront. And then generally, the way it's worked is that the installment payments for the service agreement are paid over time. But again, the contract gets paid up front. So again, it's a win-win. And a great feature that we really rave reviews on.
Okay, great. And I know D-Tools, like with AV as a service, you guys like to stay on top of things and ahead of emerging trends. So what is D-Tools working on next?
Well, I'll start by saying that we have a tool within our software that allows customers to make feature requests and also vote on requests that were made by others. So our team takes all that information in and aggregates it, and then builds out a roadmap based on the priorities of our customers, which is a great way to do it. It's the way we've always done it. It's just we didn't have the advanced tools within the software in the past, but it really makes our job easier in terms of identifying what our roadmap should be going forward. So I've been with D-Tools for a little bit over 4 years now, and I am kind of excited to say that the features we're working on this year, I am more excited about than I've been, since the beginning of my time with D-Tools. We have, as you know, a fairly end-to-end solution, starting with the beginning of the sales process and working through proposal, engineering, project management, and into the service contract and service management, and service case management, if you will. But there are some gaps. There's some gaps in our offering that we are planning to fill this year, and I'll talk you through what the major ones are. I would say they're mostly focused on project and financial management. and start with some customizable dashboards by role. Right now, when you load our software, what you get is kind of a start page, if you will, and it's not of a lot of value. So we're transitioning that to a customizable dashboard by role. So if you're a salesperson or a sales manager or a project manager, you would get snippets, if you will, that are relevant to you, and those are customizable. So that'll come up as a customizable dashboard. We're also developing more of a generic feature that's a user-definable lists. And those would be used for things like punch lists, which are prevalent and needed on every project, but also lists, for example, of tasks that might make up a workflow for a particular project type. Let's say it's a medium-sized conference room or a access control system. And that list of tasks can have notifications tied to them. So you can be notified when someone can be notified when a task is completed, or notified that they've been assigned a task, for example. And that list will auto-generate a Gantt chart, which is a new feature that we're building in for project planning and management purposes, complete with milestones and dependencies. Those Gantt charts will then essentially roll up into individual lines. I should say, let me back up a little bit. The Gantt charts for each project will then roll up into individual lines on a resource planning view that will enable operations managers to assess whether they have enough manpower to support the current backlog. So really a complete set, I believe, of project planning and resource planning tools that we haven't had in the past. So we're pretty excited about that. And then, in addition to the customizable dashboards, punch lists, Gantt charts for project planning and resource planning, we are building out more advanced timekeeping capability, which we've had timekeeping in the past, but not a full timekeeping module, if you will. And what's exciting about that for me as a business guy is we've always had the ability to track product costs and sell and purchase price. So we get good tracking on the product side, but not so much with time. So we're going to be able to do more complete job costing finally, which I think is an important feature for all business people, business leaders to have access to. It'll also enable labor utilization reports and backlog reports, and even the ability to recognize revenues based on the job costing information. So a lot of really powerful financial planning and management tools on the back end of that timekeeping capability.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, between the AV as a service help and now a lot of these kind of software to help with the logistics of AV integration and project management, which I know our audience is just clamoring for. How can they find out more about what you guys are offering now and what you guys will be offering as you kind of roll these things out?
Our websites, we haven't broadcasted it, but our website has recently been redone, and it's very complete. And so it's d-tools.com, and most all information is available there. In terms of our roadmap, if I would say you probably want to be in contact with someone on our sales team or customer success manager who can talk to you about kind of our plans and rollout plans for the roadmap items that we discussed.
Awesome. Well, I encourage everyone in the audience to reach out to D-Tools and find out more about how they can help you guys out. Randy Stearns, CEO of D-Tools, thank you so much for joining us and letting us know what you guys are doing.
I appreciate the time and opportunity.